If you are new to trading, you're possibly wondering what is the best pair or what is the best instrument to trade. This morning I had that same dilemma. In a second, I'm going to walk you through what I decided on and why. If you find this useful, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, support the channel. Let's get busy.
Okay, so when I first started trading, I had no idea what a pair was, let alone what a index or how metals and gold and all these things were traded. I was completely clueless. So I did some research and I decided to focus on the major pairs first because they had high volume and I needed a lot of volume to do scalps because I wanted to be in and out of the market as quick as possible. So my strategy was based on scalping, and then I needed big pairs with volume to push the move quickly and get out of the move even quicker, right? So I looked at Euro USD, GBP USD, USD Swiss, and also USD JPY, right? More recently, I refined it to the 3 here, and the reason is because with JPY conversion rate, the way it works, sometimes 10 pips on JPY isn't the equivalent of 10 pips on these guys, okay? Because of the conversion rate, okay? So 100, if I got 10 pips of USD Swiss or GBP USD, any of these three guys, 10 pips could be $100, right? But if I did the same, if I used the same lot size on USD JPY, it could be $70 depending on the conversion rate at that time. Okay, so I moved away from that. It didn't make no sense. I was getting the same move but getting less money for it, so I moved away from that. And also it's very volatile. It likes to run stop losses a lot of times before it does moves, so I'm shying away from that. Okay, so these are my 3 preferred instruments. Okay, and also the reason I pick these pairs is or I trade in currencies is because it works with my schedule. I prefer to trade it during the London trading session, and New York doesn't work for me, so Asia session doesn't work with my schedule, so I do that and I'm out, right? Okay, so the other reason I trade these pairs, or the pair I choose to trade on any given day, is dependent on my strategy. Okay, so it's all dependent on strategy. Basically, my strategy or my setup is to scalp beginnings of a trend. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's a short trend, it doesn't matter if it's a major trend, like on a higher time frame, you got a major trend here. I like to scalp the beginning of them. Okay, so on M5 here, I'll show you what I saw this morning on you. So first thing I did, first thing I ever do, first thing in the morning, I check the forecast to see if there's any news due that day that will affect the pair that I'm looking at. So I checked the forecast, nothing going on Euro, so I was interested in finding my setup here. So my setup, what we need is a fake breakout. If I'm buying this, I need a fake breakout, a pull, a flag, and another pole here. That's the beginning of a trend. Okay, so what we have here during the Asia session is here we have our fake breakout, a pole, a flag, a pole, right? Price is meant to pull into here and then push out again. So it pulls into this zone, holds and pushes out. So that would have been my move. Okay, so during the London session, or the start of the London session, or even the start when I started looking at this move, I was looking at it around here. Okay, so I've already missed the initial move from the Asian session, and the beginning of the London session, I did not want to get into this move here to try to take it out. Even though it did push out, I did not want to get into it because underneath here we had equal lows. We had equal lows here. Okay, so for me, equal lows is a liquidity pool. Stop losses are typically sitting around underneath here. The reason I don't want to get in based on liquidity pools, because this happens. So price tends to run liquidity first before it goes in this direction. Whether it goes up or down, I don't know, but it tends to run liquidity first. Okay, so I decided not to take this setup here based on what was going on here. So I had to look at GB USD and similar setup, similar pairs, but they are different. Okay, the euro, dollar, pounds, they're all different currencies. They have different factors that affect the currency. Okay, so today GB had a lot of news. It had a lot of news. So I did see my setup here that I did like. It was different from what I saw on the euro. So we had a big push down here, breaking structure here. For it to continue going down, it needs to pull up here and push down again. It didn't. Instead, it pulled up here, pulled down, held here, and pulled up again. So it pushed up again. So that's our first pole. That's our first flag. That's our second pole. We want price to pull back into this zone here, and then potentially pull up, push up again to beat this high. That's what I was looking at. And you could either go 1-to-1 based on this zone. So if you entered here, 25, 23, and your low was here, 7 pips, or even here at 16 pips, your stop loss. 1-to-1, you are looking at here 17 pips, and you could have been out. So that was the move potentially, and that's the move that may be playing out now. Okay, I would have basically got out on the break of here. So I would have got in here and got out there. So I would have got 10 pips. I would have got out just here. Okay, because I'm looking for the start of a trend. I don't care how far it goes after that. I just want that initial move. So that's a pole, that's a flag, that's a second pole. It broke this structure. I want price to pull back into here and then push back out. However, it then pulled down to the zone. It used this as a pivot point and it pushed back out. So that would have been my move. When I was looking at this move, price was sitting around here. So I was waiting. I didn't see the setup alight. I wasn't going to buy here in liquidity. I wasn't going to buy here. There's an equal low here, equal low here, equal low here. And I saw the setup. I thought, okay, I'm interested in doing that entry there to push it back up. But I decided not to because of this liquidity pool sitting underneath here. As you saw on the euro, price did tap into it and it may be pushing further down. On GB, we don't know what's going on yet, what it's going to do. It didn't tap into it, it didn't push all the way down there, it's held so far. But based on what was going on here, I decided this wasn't the trade setup I preferred. So I had a look at USD Swiss. USD Swiss was a clearer picture for me, okay? So if you look at the H1, you can see price has been ranging. This is the top of the range here. It got to these highs here, and then it's pushed all the way down to these lows here. It's just been ranging, and it's been doing that for a good month or so. So when price was sitting up here, this is the top of the range, okay? So this was the previous session, okay? This was yesterday's price action. So price is sitting up here, that's the top of the range. So what I saw at the top of the range was a pole here, a flag, and a second pole. So I would have been interested in entering here to try to ride it down. However, that was yesterday's price action. We're looking at it from today, and also this was near the end of the session. It's not a good time to get in during the low volume sessions around there. So when price today came here, I had a look here. I saw it had pulled down, potentially continuing the trend from here. Okay, so we had a pull down here. We had our beginning of our session here. I think this was the beginning of the Asia session I would have been interested in. So we had a fake break up here, a push up here, and a breaking structure there. So for me, that is my first pole. Yeah. So we had a fake breakout, a pole here, our flag, respecting that high here, and another pole here. So that's my setup, right? So a fake push up, breaking structure, a second push up, respecting this guy here. Okay, we respected that high here, so that would be my potential stop loss. It respected it and it pulled down again. So that's one pole, one flag, second pole. So my strategy, my setup, when price pulled back into this zone here where we had that second pole, I'm looking for my entry. So my entry would be based on the breakout point here, or it could be 50% of this move here. So 50% of that move is roughly here. Okay, so that would have been a better entry. You could switch to M1 and you really refine your entries, but I prefer to look at things on the 5-minute charts. So M1 here, you can see that your entry should be based off this guy, and you can see that's exactly where it was tapped into. Okay, yeah, and you could have a even tighter stop loss. You could have a stop loss of 3 pips rather than the 10 pips that I set. Okay, so let's stay focused here. So that was my entry here, and I was just looking for 6 pips. Okay, so from here, 6 pips out, I got my move here. So from a third pole out, so first pole, flag, second pole, price pulls up, creating the second flag. That's our first flag, creating the second flag, and I was looking for that third pole out, which is just beating these lows, right? And that would have been 5 pips. However, I wanted to hold it for my 6 pips because that would have been equivalent of 1% for me, based on the leverage I had. But I also highlighted this zone here, this imbalance here. So I expected price to push down to get into here. Okay, so let's just mark that up. For price to get into here, that would have meant I was looking at a 1-to-1. So that was about 9 pips, 10 pips. So I could have held it for the 1-to-1. I decided, did I? Let's see what I did. I'll show you my execution. I think I held it a little bit longer, but I did get out at my 6 pips or so. No, I got out a little bit. Let's just have a look. So let's see, my entry, as you can see, is right at the top there, and I got out roughly there. Okay, so I did get 10 pips. I held it for 1-to-1. I only need the 6 here, but I held it for 1-to-1 because of that opposing force I identified. I wanted the price to drive into it. Okay, so that's as simple as it is. The pair you pick or the instrument you trade should be based on your strategy. I scalp. I'm looking for small moves, and I got my move based on my setup. I saw my setup here and I decided to go. I was very picky today and it played out beautifully. I've taken my trades. I am done for the day. I'm going to leave price to do what it wants to do now and reconvene here on Monday, looking for the same setup, looking at all the instruments and basing my trade based on my strategy and my setup, not what pair I prefer. Okay, so that's as simple as I want to keep it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found value from it. If you have, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, support the channel. This is Patrick signing out, and until next time, peace.